Okay, so today I'm going to show you the three components of our Who's Next application. On my desktop, you see three little white cloud icons. The first icon says Who's Next on it, and the second icon says a sign-in station, and the third icon says Lobby Display. Now, first things I'm going to show you is a sign-in station. This is where students can sign themselves in at a kiosk if you want them to do that. So I'm going to launch our desktop application. Our software works with multiple departments. So in this instance, you see three departments: Advising Center, Business Office, and Enrollment Management. On your campus, you can have as many departments as you want. So it's real easy to build that, and we show you how to do that. So you pick your department and you put in your password. So this is done by you or your staff. This is actually not done by your students. So basically, when your center opens, your sign-in station should automatically be up and running. It's a very bland screen, very plain. Just says welcome to, and it'll give you your school name, and it'll say Advising Center or Financial Aid or One Stop Shop or whatever you want it to say. We can show you how to customize all this for you. Very simple application. Students don't need any kind of special training to sign in. They just click the button that says Student Sign In. Now, we have a lot of schools that use our software, and because we're a third-party vendor, we don't actually have access to your master data system. So your IT won't give us access to whether you use Banner, PeopleSoft, Colleague, DataTel, whatever you happen to be using. And so for a student to sign in, the software does require them to put in a unique student ID number. Now, because we can't tie into your system and we can't just create automatically numbers for you, we have a way where students can sign themselves in if they don't have an ID number. So if they're right off the street, prospective student, we can show you how they can sign in, and you're actually not turning anybody away. So in this case, when the student tries to sign in, our software asks them basically, do you have a student ID, yes or no? If the student says, yes, I have an ID, and then it allows them to type in their ID number right here. Or if you have an ID card, our software works with card swipes, so the student can swipe their ID card or scan it using a scanner, and it will sign them in using whatever numbers on that card. A couple things too. Another thing also is you'll notice the number I'm typing in does it asterisk out for security reasons, kind of like your ATM PIN number. We found that sometimes students will look over their shoulders to see, what number the student's signing in or typing in. And so we just asterisk out for security reasons. Now, what if a student doesn't have an ID number? When they go here and they say, no, I don't have it, or no, I don't have my student ID, our software can do a number of different configurations. And one of the most popular configurations that our customers use is where the student enters their first name, last name, and date of birth. Now, because our software does require a unique ID number for every student, the student can't just put in their name, because you run the risk of having multiple students with the same name. So what happens instead is the software, it prompts them for their name, and then they put in their date of birth. So in case mine is, August 5th, so 8/5/1979. What our software does at this point is it actually signs them in, and it builds them a temporary number based on their initials and date of birth. So in this case, when I sign in, my name would be my ID number would be JO and then 080579. Again, just to get me signed in. Later on, if they ever get enrolled in your institution, our software has an update system or import wizard where it can update the student from this temporary ID number to the permanent student ID number. It can run automatically at midnight or 1 o'clock, whenever you want that job to run. And the software will fix their ID number and also all their past visits with that number. So their past notes, their past visits and services, and whoever they spoke to using this temporary number will get automatically updated to their permanent student ID number that you have in your system. Again, that's our auto import wizard, and we work with your IT department to get that up and running for you as well. So in this case, I'm just going to sign in as a student. So I'm going to say, yes, I know my student ID, put in my ID number. Now, first things that come up is a screen that says available counselors, or you can change it to say available advisors or staff or whatever you want it to say. Now, basically what this does is this allows the student to pick who they want to speak with. The way our software works is whenever your advisors or your counselors, they go into their office and they launch Who's Next and they sign into Who's Next, they're basically telling the software they're here and they're ready to see students. Okay, so they're available. When they do that in their office or their desk or their cubicle, and a student comes to this screen, they will be able to see a listing of all the advisors and staff that are actually logged in at this very moment. Okay, so in this instance, we have Dave Knapp and Susan Cruz. They're logged in right now into Who's Next. If I was to go into my office and I sign into Who's Next there, my name would appear in this list. So the student can select my name in this list if you want them to do that. So basically it's in real time. If I happen to log out of Who's Next, then my name would disappear from this list. So again, it's in real time. We also have a button at the bottom left that says Next Available. If you want to click that. Now we do know that some areas don't like students to be able to pick their advisor who they want to speak with, kind of like financial aid or admissions and records. Those areas are more like first come, first serve. So we can show you how to turn this screen off. It's very easy to do. It just bypasses this screen and goes to the very next screen after this. Okay. So in this case, I'm just going to click Dave Knapp. I'm going to say continue. Now the next screen that pops up, it lets the students pick the reason for their visit, okay, the service that they're coming in for. You notice in this instance, we have like ad-job classes, computer usage, financial aid appeal paperwork. Basically, the way it works is every department starts on a clean slate, and we show you how many services you can add into this. So we show you how to build it, and you can have as many as you want. Now, in our experience, we recommend having this list fairly small, fairly generic, 5, 6, 7 services. You don't want to overwhelm your students with a lot, just for the sign-in process. And then later on, when your staff signs a student out, you can have a more complete list of services that you provide to your students, okay? So in this case, I'm just gonna click the first one, add job class, and they can say continue. Now, our software does allow you to pick multiple ones if you want them to do that as well, but by default, they just let them pick the first one, just one. Say continue. Now we also have a text messaging service, a feature where students can opt in to receive text messages while they wait to be seen. So the student can put in their cell phone number and click the yes, please text me button, or they can say no, thank you. This works great for areas where you have high traffic flow and you have long wait lines. We have some schools that have students waiting 2 to 2.5 hours to see somebody for 10, 15 minutes. So this feature works great is students can sign in, they get a welcome message with their number and line and things like that. And then they can go back to class, or they can go, get something to eat or grab a cup of coffee or something like that. And then the software can text them when they're next in line. So in this case, I'm just going to put in my own cell phone number. Please don't text me after this. If you don't, I recommend please don't text me. If you do, that's fine. I'm going to say, yes, please text me. And there you go. You get a confirmation message. You are successfully signed to this department, and the student gets a cell phone message, to their cell phone. I just got it right now. I'm checking it. It says, thank you for signing to the advising center. You are next in line. We will text you when you're ready to be seen. So that popped up right now on my cell phone. It's important to note that welcome message that just got sent out, that's customizable. So every department that uses our software and that uses our text messaging service can customize their own welcome message. So financial aid can say something like, thank you for signing to financial aid. You're next in line. Please have a seat. But then you might have advising or counseling that says, thank you for signing to advising and counseling. Please have a seat in the front lobby. We will call your name or text you when you're ready, or whatever you want it to say. So you can just pretty much customize that message. And that's it pretty much. So I'm going to sign in again as another student, put in another ID number, pick who they want to speak with. In this case, I'm going to click on next available, and then you pick your service that the student's coming in for. So in this case, I'll pick registration. And then for the text messaging, in this case, I'm going to say no, thank you. And that's it. That's it for the sign-in station. Real easy to do. We try to optimize it, real quick for students to use. We have some schools that you can actually have multiple. They actually have multiple kiosks up and running side by side, primarily for their fall registrations or whenever they get real busy. So you just have multiple kiosks running, and it handles the high traffic flow of students coming in. So that's pretty simple. For the sign-in station, what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to minimize this. And now I'm going to show you the main component of a Who's Next. Okay, this is the main mission control component of our software. This is what's been used by your advisors, your counselors, your staff, work studies, part-time employees. So pretty much everyone in your office will use this component. It is password protected. So you get to use your own ID and password, of course, that we help you set up. And you get to pick your department you want to sign into. And it's just logging me in just like that. First time you launch this on the computer, it can take a couple extra seconds. So I'm just going to wait a few more seconds for it to launch and log me in and download my credentials, permissions. There you go. So our software is broken down into three main windows. I apologize. On the left-hand side, we have a window that says counselor switchboard, and you can change the terminology if you want to. And then we have a window at the top right that says my inbox, and the window at the bottom right that says student lobby. Okay, so the way our software works is whenever you sign into Who's Next, depending on how many departments you have access to, you'll see these departments listed right here. Okay, so for my switchboard, I logged in, I have access to the advising center, business office, and enrollment management. Now, if I expand each one of these, I can see every advisor, counselor, and staff person that's logged into those departments at this very moment. Okay, this is really, really great information or really great functionality for your front desk staff. Okay, your receptionists or your people that kind of work up in the front, handle the intake of students, do like triage and things like that. This works great because what it does is it pretty much tells them up to the almost to the very second which advisors are here and who's logged in and who's not logged in. Okay, so when you see a folder, that just means that person's logged into Who's Next. If a person logs out of Who's Next, then that person's folder and name will disappear from this list. So it's always just showing your front desk staff who's here and who's logged in. Now everyone is also color coded to show who's available. So it's kind of like driving a car where green means go and red means stop. So when you see green folders like by my name or by Susan or Don or by Melody, green just basically means they're logged in because you see their folder, but that they're available. Okay, they don't actually have a student in their office. So green means they're available to see the next student. Okay, it just basically means here that my inbox window is empty. They don't have a student assigned to them. Now you see by Jack Wallens, Jack is red. And the red folder just means that they are here, they're logged into Who's Next, but they are unavailable. Okay, they are not available to see students. A lot of times people ask, well, how does the software know that he's out to lunch? Or the person, it might say stepped out or in a meeting or something like that. Well, on my toolbar right here, let me move this down a little bit so I can see it. Okay, so on my toolbar, I have a button that says available. And when I click on that, I get some reasons why I'm unavailable, like be right back, busy, in a meeting, not at my desk. So if I click on one of these, and the software says, do you want to add this reason to your calendar? I'm going to say no, because we'll talk about a calendar feature in another video. So now what happens when I did that, notice my folder automatically changed colors from green to red, and now it says in a meeting. So that's how everyone in my office knows, okay, Jody's here, but he's in a meeting, so don't send him another student, okay? When I'm back from my meeting, all I have to do is go back to that same button and say I'm available, and now my folder goes back to green. And that's it. That's all you got to do. You can also put in a specific reason if you want to. Like if you want to say, I'm in a meeting till 3 o'clock, or I'm having lunch with the provost, or like my favorite, I'm taking a nap. Whatever you want to put, doesn't matter. And there it is. Now my folder's red. Now it says I'm taking a nap. Pretty simple, pretty easy to do. Okay. A lot of people ask, well, the software does it automatically if I'm not if I don't do anything. We had a feature in the past where it would automatically set themselves unavailable. We had a lot of complaints about that feature. So in this current version that you see right here, we actually took that off. So basically, you just pretty much have to set yourself. Now, we do have a feature where the front desk person or the office supervisor can set someone unavailable. So for example, let's say Susan left for a meeting, but she forgot to set herself out. Somebody else can go right here, right click on her name and say set counselor's availability, say unavailable and say yes, and that's it. And you can set them red. So again, that's just in case a person forgets to set themselves unavailable. Someone else can do it for them if you want them to do that. There you go. So the other two colors that we have is by Dave Knapp. Dave is actually yellow, and that means that he is with a student. Okay, he actually has a student in his office, so he's automatically changes to yellow. And then the last color we have is Clifton. He's purple, and basically a purple folder. All that just means is that person's logged in as a receptionist. Someone that's working up in the front, again, to handle the intake of students and triage and answer questions and things like that. We give it a different color because 9 times out of 10, advisors and staff counselors, they work in their office, but every now and then they might go work up in the front to handle the intake of students. So we give those different role types so that okay, Clifton's working in the front today versus working in his office like he normally does. So that's all that means. He can still sign in students, sign them out, run reports if he needs to, and things like that. Okay. So again, recap: green, you're available; red, you're unavailable; yellow with the student; purple with working at the front desk. That's it. Real simple, real easy to do. So the next screen I'm going to talk about right here is at the bottom is called the student lobby window. It's window here at the bottom right. Basically, this shows you the queue. Okay, all the students that are waiting to be seen. So let's say, for example, you're in your office, you may have your door closed, you may not have any windows. There could be 10, 20, 50 students waiting up in the front, and you have no idea unless you pick up the phone or physically go out of your office and see who's next. Well, our software shows you all this right here using the student lobby window. You see their name, you see their ID number, who they want to speak with, if they selected anybody, the exact date and time the student signed themselves in, the service that they signed in for, and then if you have the text messaging feature enabled, the last 4 digits of their cell phone, and that just tells you if they opted in for receiving text messages or if they did not. So in this case, we have Stephen Kolars. He signed in first, ID number all ones. He wants to speak with Dave Knapp, and then see the date and time, and then he's here for an ad job class. And then Eric Gomez came in next available. He doesn't really care who he wants to speak with for registration, and so on or so forth. Our software always keeps students next in line. Okay, it always keeps them based on the date and time that they signed in. So you always know who's next in line, and that's why we call our software Who's Next, because it helps you keep track of who's next in line. The name's a little quirky, but it works for the way our software is designed to do. Okay, whenever you want to see a student, you can basically just take a student here and drag them over to someone's folder. But before I do that, I'm going to show you how to summon the student. Okay, a summon feature is built into our text messaging service, and basically all it does is it kind of tells the student that they're next in line. Okay, that they're going to be their name's going to be called soon. You notice the first student signed in. You see the last 4 digits of their cell phone. So if you want to summon a student, there's a button on your toolbar that says summon. Okay, when I click on this, it's going to say, are you sure you want to summon Stephen at this time? You can say yes. Notice once I click yes, that's it. That's all I had to do. It doesn't do anything else. What our software does, it's automatically sending them a pre-recorded message, a text message to that student telling them they're next in line. Now, it just popped up here on my phone. I'm reading it right now, and it says, you are next in line. Please start making way to the front desk. Again, that message is customizable as well. Every department can customize their own summon message. That's it. That's all you have to do. Just click a button, forget about it. Student gets a message telling them that they're next in line. Now, next to the summon button, we also have a feature that says send text message. And this is where you can type in your own text message. So if you want to type in something customizable for the student, you can type it in here. So I can say something like, please see Mr. Orozco in room 101B. Type in, click send. That's it. That's all you got to do. And the students get the text message right there in their cell phone. This works really great if the students across campus. If you want to kind of summon them and tell them, hey, you got 10 minutes before your name is called or something like that, whatever you want to do. So just do it. Student gets a cell phone message right there, and then you're good to go. Okay. So whenever you want to assign a student to an advisor, you can either take the student from the lobby and click them over and drag them over to your folder here on the left-hand side. Or if you want the advisors and counselors to do it themselves, all they have to do is take the student and they can drag it to their inbox, okay? So for example, Stephen Kolars, who's next in line, wants to see Dave Knapp, okay? But if you notice, Dave Knapp is yellow, okay? He's actually with the student. So I'm actually gonna skip this next student and I'm gonna take Eric Gomez next. Now, of course, in your area, you can always tell the student, like, hey, Stephen, Dave Knapp is with the student. Do you wanna see somebody else? And the student may say, no, I wanna see Dave Knapp. Or no, I don't care who I see. So you, being the front desk person or even the counselors themselves, can still dictate who sees that student. They don't have to go see Dave Knapp in this instance. They can go see somebody else, okay? And that's very important to note. Even though a student signs in and they say, I'm gonna speak with this one person, the software doesn't automatically send that to that student to that person right then and there. It still gets put into the lobby. It just kind of flags on who they want to see, okay? So it kind of helps you know who they want to see at that time. But again, you can always move them around or sign somebody else or something like that. It's not set in stone. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to skip Stephen. I'm going to go to the next student, Eric Gomez, and I'm going to take the student myself. Now, again, I can take the student and I can drag them over to my folder, or I can drag it over to my inbox and assign them to myself. Doesn't matter, whichever one you want to do. When you do that, notice the student got taken out of lobby, now appears here in your inbox, and notice now my folder automatically changed colors from green to yellow, which now tells everyone that I'm actually working with the student, okay? Now, another thing that our software does for you behind the scenes is it tracks time for you, okay? So student signs in at 9 o'clock, it tracks that time that student signed in, okay, 9 o'clock. At that moment, whenever you assign a student to yourself or to another person and you drag and drop into their folder, it also tracks the time you assign the student to that person, okay? So basically you have the time in and you have the time assigned. The software then can compute exactly to the very second how long the student actually waited to be seen. Okay, so for example, student signs in at 9 o'clock, moves over and gets signed out to me at 9:20. It knows the student waited 20 minutes or 30 minutes or 2 hours, whatever that number, those values happen to be. Our software is automatically calculating that for you. In a minute, when I show you how to sign out the student, it tracks the sign out time. So now you have the assign time and the out time. So now you know the session took 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 12 minutes, whatever it happens to be. Our software is tracking that for you automatically. And this works great for our reporting. I'm going to show you here at the end the reports, because then you know what's my session time for the week, or what's our average wait time for the semester, or for the month of Mondays. For the month of January, on Mondays, what is our average wait time and session time? Whatever those numbers happen to be, you can run reports and get those values for you. Okay? So whenever you have a student assigned to you, student appears in your inbox, you just basically help that student like you do right now. Okay? Student comes to your office or your desk or your cubicle, and you advise him or her just like you do right now. Nothing's changed. The only difference is whenever you're done with the student, it's important that you sign the student out of who's next. You sign them out and you get to tell the software what you spoke to the student about, okay? Excuse me. So to sign them out is actually very simple. All you have to do is there's a button here that says sign out. Or if you're like me, I'm a double clicker. You can actually just double click on the student's name and you get a window that pops up, okay? When the window pops up, it actually automatically shows you all the different services that you provide to your students for your department that you're signed into, okay? So for example, right now I'm signed into my advising center and we have these 7 or 8 services pop up right here. Let's say the student came in for registration, it's automatically checked for me, so I know the student received registration. Of course, you can uncheck it or recheck it, doesn't matter. And of course, a student will come in for one thing, but while they're there, you might do 2, 3, or 4 other services. So I say, you know what? Yes, I did registration. I answered questions about the academic degree plan. I did financial aid appeal paperwork. And you know what? I also applied for graduation. Again, this probably doesn't make sense, but again, I'm just picking any services out of this list. Okay. Now, after you pick your services, we actually have a tab here that says visit notes. Now, in our visit notes, in our software, we have 2 different areas where you can type in notes. We have a private note section on the top, and then we have a public note section on the bottom, okay? Private notes. We have a lot of schools that use our software. They have LPC counselors, so they deal with like crisis counseling, drug abuse, sexual abuse, things of a confidential nature. So what we've done in our software is whatever you type in the private notes, our software will take those notes, encrypt it using our own encryption algorithms, stored into the database that's password protected, secure and all that stuff. And only you can read those private notes. Only you can read your private notes, okay? No one else can read those private notes. So for example, let's say I see a student today, I document some private notes. A week later, Sally happens to see that same student. She will not be able to read what I put down in the private notes, and vice versa. If she had private notes in her for that student, I wouldn't be able to read those. So it only shows you your private notes. Now, public notes works exactly the same way as far as encrypting and storing. The only difference is whatever you type in the public section, all the other advisors and counselors and people that have access to your department can read those notes. They're public for you, okay? Now, the student can go and read these automatically unless they request them, but they can't just go and log in and see those notes. So whatever you type in the public, all the other advisors and counselors and staff can read those notes. So for example, I'm gonna put in some private notes now. I'm gonna say, this is a private notes test. I'm gonna put test number 1. And then for the public notes, I'm gonna put, this is a public note test. So I'm gonna put number 1, okay? That's it. Now, a couple things to mention about notes. They're optional. Obviously, you don't have to type them in if you don't want to. Because our software doesn't tie into your master data system, it's not like we can automatically push these notes to your Banner or colleague or PeopleSoft or whatever you're using, okay? So you can still continue to store your notes on your master system if you want to do that. Some schools opt into using Who's Next instead because it's a little bit easier to do. We've even worked with some IT departments where we can systematically push these notes to your master system on a nightly basis or weekly and stuff like that too. So we can work with the IT department to kind of get that connection if you wanted to do that. But that's not in real time. That has to be pushed at a later date. Also, another thing to note, these notes, these private notes and public notes can be turned on or off individually per users or across the board for everybody. So you might have a work study student, you're like, you know what, they shouldn't be putting in notes, just turn them off. We can do that for you. Or we have some customers like, Jody, we don't want to deal with private notes. In case you ever get subpoenaed by a judge, by law, you still have to give them out. So just turn them off for everybody. Not a problem. We can turn it off for everybody across your campus or across your whole district. Whatever you want to do, our software is customizable for you. Okay. So in this case, I already put in my notes, already selected my services. So I'm just going to go ahead and click save. It's going to say, are you sure? Just say yes. There you go. The visit was saved successfully. The student's now taken out of my inbox. My folder goes back to green. That's it. That's all you got to do. It's that simple. I'm going to show you again. Watch this. I'm going to sign in that same student. I'm going to say no thank you for the text messaging. And let's say I saw this student. You're like, you know what? I saw the student last week. What did I say? Or, who saw the student last? When's the last time the student came in here? We have a way where you can run a history report. You can see exactly how many students, how many times the student came into your area. If you right click on the student's name, you're going to get a pop-up menu. And right here in the middle says View Students Visit History. It has a little clipboard icon right next to it. When I click on the View Students Visit History option, it's going to run a report. And it's going to tell me every single time this student came into my department. Okay? So in this case, it pops up just like that. And it says, gives you the student's name, Eric Gomez, gives you my department, my name's in red, gives me the exact date the student signed in, and the date the student was assigned to me. But notice it gives me my private notes, my public notes, and any services I selected. Okay? And then it gives me the next visit after that, and the next visit after that, and after that. Okay. So also with this report, there's no date range restriction. Okay. So we don't actually purge any data in our system. All right. We have some schools that have been using our software for 18 years and they can run a report and see students' information for 18 years. Okay. So we actually don't purge any of this. So if you run this history, it may go back a week for that student. It may go back a month, or it may go back 10 years. It doesn't matter. It just pulls all that information for that student. And also it pulls the data for your department or all the departments you have access to. So this report may even see advising center. I may also need to be able to see the notes for financial aid and for disability support services. Again, whatever departments you have access to, this report will show it to you. And it's always in descending order. So the most recent visit is always first, and then the second, third, and fourth, and so on. Okay. We also have another report that shows just the last visit, not the history, not every time the student came in, just the last time, and it pops up just like that. Now you'll notice also we have signature lines on the bottom. We have a couple schools where they actually like to print out these copies and make the students sign them for certain reasons. So what we've done in our software is, you can print them out and then you can have the students sign them and keep copies and stuff like that. But at this point, you might be thinking, well, this is not really good to print out because it has my private notes. I don't want the students to be able to see my private notes. Not a problem. Watch this. On my toolbar, I have a button that says Visit Notes. And notice Show Private Notes is checked. It's turned on. And Show Public Notes is also turned on. If I uncheck Show Private Notes, if I turn this off, it just refreshes my report, and now the public notes are gone. So now you can print it. Print it. Student can sign them if you want to, and things like that. You can turn them off individually, like if I want to see just my private notes but not public notes, or just like that. So again, it's very customizable. You just turn on or off wherever you want to, print them out, and they're right there. Okay. So again, for the sign out process, just move them to your inbox, double click on their name, pick their services they came in for. If you want them to do that, we recommend your services. Put in your visit notes if you want to do that, and it clicks. That's it. That's all you got to do. It's right there. Also, real quick, our software does give you alerts. So while you're logged into Who's Next, when students signing up in the front, you'll get a little alerts pop up, little messages pop up here in the bottom telling you students have been signed in, or if a student's been assigned to you, get another window pop up telling you students come into your office. So just kind of gives you these alerts as students are signed into your department. So the next thing I want to talk about real quickly is just our reporting, because that's one of the best features of our software. It's very robust and very feature rich, and just has a lot of really cool features and functionality for you. On your toolbar, there's a button that says Reports, and this brings up our library, okay? So right now we have about 75 or 76 reports already pre-built in the software for you, okay? So right out of the box, you can run over 70 reports for all your data. They're categorized by either visits, services, we have a calendar feature, we have a customized feature, and all reports, okay? The two that you're gonna run the most are either by visits or by services. Now, under the services category, we have one report called total services given. This is probably the most important report for your services. Now, services, again, are all those little check boxes that you're checking off whenever you sign a student out, okay? So that's called a service. So I'm gonna pick my service, I'm gonna pick my report, total services given. You get to pick your date range. So I can do it just for today if I want to, my beginning date and ending date, or I can go back a week if I want to do that, or if I want to go back to the month or semester or 5 years. It doesn't matter. You can just pick as many as far as date range as you want, okay? You can also filter down by your department. So depending on which department you have access to, it shows you those. And then also you can even filter by services and by users and things like that too, okay? So in this case, I'm gonna pick just for today for my advising center, and I'm gonna say view report. Pops up just like that, and it says, okay, for today, we've given out 11 services. Apply for graduation was 1, computer usage was 1, financial aid appeal paperwork was 2, so on and so forth, for a total of 11. Okay, you know what, that's not bad, but let's go back even further. I'm gonna go back to, you know what, I'm gonna go back to January of last year, okay? So going back almost a year and a half, a little bit over a year and a half, and I'm gonna do it just for my general service group. View report, pops up just like that. Now it's showing 63. Now I'm using a test database that we have in our system, so in our area, so it doesn't have a whole lot of data, but you get the gist of it. I mean, it'll show you how many services, up to thousands or tens of thousands. It'll show you as many services you're collecting, okay? So now it says 63, 8 apply for graduations, 10 for financial aid appeal paperwork, 13 registration, and so forth. But look at all this wasted paper, okay? Look at all this white space that's really not being used, okay? Well, on my toolbar, I have a button that says bar chart, pie chart, and line chart. So if I click on the bar chart, it's gonna refresh this report, and now it's gonna show you a nice little colorful bar chart. So the most we're doing right now is registration for 13, and then financial aid appeal paperwork for 10, and then we have a couple of 8s, reviewing equated transfer credit and apply for graduation, okay? Not too bad. You wanna see with the pie chart, click there. Now you can see percentages with our pie chart or even a line chart, just like that. So again, very, very, very easy to get your data, okay? Now, of course, with all the reports, you can print them if you want to. You can save them as a PDF, email them if you want to. Now, we have a really cool feature where you can actually export the raw data, and you can export the raw data to like a CSV file or even an Excel spreadsheet. And this is great for institutional effectiveness, or areas where you want to kind of merge your own data with other data from somewhere else. Exporting the raw data works great, because then you can export it to Excel and it just has a raw data. It doesn't have all these like colors and charts and footers and headers and all that stuff. It's just a raw data, and then it allows you to kind of merge your own data, copy your own data, and kind of work with it within Excel or Access and things like that too. So that's a really great feature. A lot of our schools love the export raw data feature. Okay, so that's just one report, total visits by total services given. You can even break down even further by counselors and advisors if you want to do that. You can break it down by counselor and time if you want to do that. So again, we have a ton of different services reports in here to run by services, okay? Now under visits right here, you get to see how many visits are coming in, how many students are coming in, or how many visits you're saving. One of the most popular reports here is called total visits by students. I'm gonna keep the same date range and same department. I'm just gonna say view report, okay? Now again, this is a test database. We don't have a lot of data in it, but this report does a whole lot, okay? It doesn't look all nice and pretty and fancy, but it does a lot, because what it does is it shows you the students that you served for that time frame, gives you their ID number, gives you the total visits that they've done, how many times they came into your area, gives you how much time they spent, the total session time, but also gives you the average session time, okay? But this is a really important feature about this report. At the very bottom, notice it says number 4 and 13, okay? This is basically duplicated and unduplicate data all on one report, okay? So for example, notice it says these are 4 students we serve, okay? So 4 students actually came into our offices, our area, but they came in 13 times, okay? So you have that, again, there's duplicated and unduplicate data. So 4 students came in or 13 times, and we're averaging about a 6-minute session time. Or more realistically, you might run this for the month of March, and it says, you know what, we served 500 students, but they came in 700 times. Or we saw 10,000 students for last year, but they came in 12,000 times. Whatever those numbers happen to be, it gives you duplicate and unduplicate data all right here for you. Very powerful stuff. Okay. We also have it by total visits by hour or by month or by day of the week. So if you want to see how busy you are broken down by hour, just run this report and it shows up just like that. So again, 9 o'clock, we saw 4 students, 11 o'clock, 2, 1 o'clock, 1, so on and so forth. Again, test data, we don't have a lot, but you get the gist of it. You can even embed a nice little line chart on here and you can see how busy you are from 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock or from 7 in the morning to 7 in the afternoon, whatever it happens to be. Our software will show you your trends and your peak times, so you know when you need more people on staff, or let's say, okay, for the summer we're open from 5 to 7. How many students are actually coming in from 5 to 7? Is it worth being open for those extra 2 hours? Boom, click a button right here in our software, and it will show you all that data for you. Okay. Break it up by month again if you want to do that right here. You can do it by day of the week if you want to do that. Put a line chart so you can see when your busy times are and slow times are. Okay. So again, a lot of reports, it's all in there for you. Just run them whenever you want, and it's right there. Okay, so that's mainly it for our software, for our main component of our software. The last thing I do is I'm only going to spend a couple minutes showing you this, and I want to show you just the lobby display. Okay, that's the third component of our software, where students can see where they are in the queue, in the line. Okay, so again, it's really quick. It's only going to take a couple minutes, and it's this icon right here. So let me launch the lobby display. So this is very similar to where, like, if you go into like the DMV, or if you go into like a doctor's office and there's a wait in line. Okay, so it's very simple. You just pick your department, put in your password, and all it does is it shows you this, like this. That's it. That's all you have to do. Pretty much what you do is you run this component on a flat screen monitor, or like a TV that you might have hooked up to on the wall or something. And all it does is pretty much shows the students that are waiting in line. Okay, so it gives the student's first name and last initial, the time they signed in, and then whenever they get dragged to someone's inbox, their name appears right there. Okay, so for example, if I take this one student right here, Stephen Kolars, and I'm going to send them over to myself, just like that, I just drag the student over. When this software refreshes, there it is. My name popped up just like that. This works really great because what we found is a lot of times students will go sign themselves in, and even though they get a message saying you're signed in, and even though they get a text message saying you're signed in, they still didn't believe it, or they didn't trust it. So they would go up to the front and say, hey, I signed in, where am I in the list? Or, can you see that I'm there? Well, now with this component running on a monitor there in the wall, they just pretty much sign in, sit down, look up, and boom, their name pops up right there. And they know, okay, I'm 10th in line. I have time to go to run to the restroom. Or, I'm 5th in line. I need to start making my way back, or whatever it happens to be. So again, it's very simple. Now, a lot of people ask, the software, does it only show the first name and last initial? No, you can actually customize that. So for example, if I go to program options, we have a feature where if you want to see the student's full name, the first name and the last name, it pops up like that. If you want to show just the first initial and last name, just like that. There you go. So again, it's customizable. And also the software can recycle and show you different departments. Okay, so for areas where you might only have one monitor, but you want to see multiple lobbies, you can actually set it up that way too. So for example, if I go to the options again, select specific departments, I can pick which departments I want it to filter through, okay? So basically what it does is every 5 seconds or whatever that refresh is, it's constantly refreshing and showing the students right there. So there's my advising center, shows me their people in line. It's gonna refresh, and now it shows me my business office. And then a couple of seconds after that, it's gonna show me again the enrollment management, and it just recycles through. So again, it's just pretty much customizable however you want it to run. We show you how to set it up, and you're good to go from there. All right. So that's it for the lobby display. So again, only took a couple minutes, and it's popped up just like that. Okay. So that concludes the presentation of our software. If you have any questions, please feel free to email us or call us, or just contact us any way you want, and we can answer any questions you might have. Okay. Thank you very much, and have a great rest of your day.